Hello there. We're starting off with we're starting off our NECC placement matches today with Purdue varsity. I'm Ice.
And I'm G Money.
So state of the game right now is a little bit vendetta heavy.
Oh, for sure.
So it's gonna be quite an interesting match because from what I've heard, most matches are played with at least one person on vendetta. I think it's going to be a very interesting match in general because we're going up against IU this time. And Purdue has a little bit of a history with IU in general, so might be a bit interesting.
You know, if we can't be better at them at football or basketball, let's at least hope we can be a little bit better at them at Overwatch. So going into this match, it'll be interesting to see kind of the compositions each team goes for with the new NECC season. And with the Vendetta heavy comp, it'll be interesting to see what players are specifically going to go for Vendetta and then when that ban is going to come. And because the teams are going to poke out and see kind of which team has the better Vendetta before the bans might come later for that character on the DPS side of things. But I think it'll be quite the matchup. This is two Titans going at it, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I am very curious because I know that the map pool has gotten a bit shaken up this season. I know that there's no Suravasa, I'm pretty sure. I think at the very least in some divisions there's no Lijiang, which is going to be curious. I know that Lijiang is favored by a lot of players. And I think there's also Dorado in there, which I don't think NECC has seen in a little bit. Might be an interesting map choice. In general, things are a bit different now because new season, more practice, different players. This time, hopefully, winning against IU, which I don't think we've played against IU very much in the past here. So, gonna be pretty interesting.
And they're going to start off today with three games, all three of which being best of three, to decide who's going to be the overall winner of today's placement matches, and then that'll be the scores of that were going to be used to decide where these teams are placed. Now, previously last semester, Purdue Varsity was in Div 3, and so it'll be interesting to see if they remain Div 3 or possibly move up to Div 2. I'm not really sure entirely how the NECC placements work, but I'm sure there's like a few different branches of how that works.
So NECC placement matches, essentially all teams are grouped into a sort of bracket. Well, that's how they work in general. But they all have small subgroups within them. So even if you're in a bracket that's called Torben Time, for example, like Varsity and IU are right now, you aren't going to be playing everyone in the bracket. You're going to be mostly playing the people within your group, in which case, I don't actually remember what group Varsity is in right now, but you're going to be going up against other people in Group E. That might be a rotation of only 4 teams, so the placement matches are not as long as some other ones, and even with that small sample size, you can still get a good idea of where teams should be placed, what level they're at, and comparisons to last season if people have grown or if teams have lost some good players in the break.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much going to decide kind of the course of action for these teams going into this season. They'll be able to see kind of where they stand. And even if they do see the same teams multiple times, there's a strong chance that they'll see those same teams later on in the regular season as well as playoffs. So it'll be good for these teams to start the process of like learning the other teams' play styles. And this is a good place to just sort of begin that process, take some notes, and just have a few fun games.
I think specifically with NECC, the way that their placement matches work are trying to encourage people to play within their bracket, so they can at least have a competitive experience, because the point of NECC isn't exactly to win your division, although that is nice. The point is to play in a team environment and grow with the people that you're playing with. So there isn't really a point to try and purposely do bad in these matches. The point is more to figure out what other people in your division would be playing, what other teams in general are playing, and what would be best to learn and how to practice better to grow as Overwatch players.
And Purdue's team, they do have a lot of guys returning on this team. I know Abcasta, Alistair, a lot of these same really high ranked people are going to be once again forming on this varsity team, and they have some experience playing with each other. So it'll be interesting to see like how much that's going to propel them forward ahead of some of these other teams, maybe that have designed basically new teams or uh, built up some new players, some up and coming players. But with this solid team that Purdue has, they definitely have a chance to go far and maybe even go far in Division Two. They won Division 3 last year, so or last semester, so it'd be good to see if they can propel that into maybe the next division this season.
Yeah, I think that a Division 2 placement would be really nice for varsity, uh, considering that I'm pretty sure, won Division 3 last semester. So it'd be really nice for them to continue to do well in potentially Division 2, just because they have that pre-established chemistry and they don't need to work on figuring out what other people's strengths are. They already have that defined enough where they can just keep on pushing and keep on enhancing those strengths in different team comps, especially with recent balance changes and new characters such as Vendetta, who are making playstyles, let's say, different.
Different for sure. I mean, I can't even see her most of the time in my comp games. She always gets banned. So, but when you see Vendetta come out, or like if it's Vendetta isn't banned, you always see it being played. Uh, and I think we'll definitely see that as well in this up and coming game.
Yeah, definitely only having one ban for each character. I don't remember whether it's one ban on each side, but at the very least one ban on each character is very different from most comp games because most of the time in a competitive environment, you're not limited to how many times you can ban a certain hero. So people are just incentivized to ban whatever they don't want to play every single time. However, here you're kind of incentivized to pick and choose when exactly you want to ban a certain character and on what map you think it would be most impactful. Or if you notice that, oh, well, we kind of want to save this ban for later because there's going to be something that we want to try, you need to kind of work that out with your team and figure out what you can actually ban to try and disrupt the other team the most. Or at least to try and make your playing experience as fair as possible.
Absolutely. And I know this is true for ECAC. I'm pretty sure it's true for NECC. But when a character of a certain role is banned, you can use that to basically put up a defensive barrier to protect yourself. If, say, your tracer's doing very well and you know the enemy team is going to want to ban your tracer, you can ban that role, so a DPS on the other team, in order to protect that ban on your side because they won't be able to allow to ban your DPS. So bans can be really powerful, not only to damage the enemy or make your life easier if there's just an annoying character on the other team you don't want to play against, but it can also be used defensively, and it would be really cool to see that come out from both sides if they so choose to do so in order to maybe strengthen some of those characters that they want to use going into the next match.
Yeah, definitely. I remember seeing a few times ago in I'm pretty sure it was EMEA. They actually banned Mercy in certain points just to protect ban characters like Kiriko and Lucio from being banned. Very potent usage of it, especially if you can also get rid of a character that the other team is going to want to play, which is another benefit of having these placement matches because you're able to figure out what the other team kind of comfort picks are. So if you want to do a protect ban against a certain team, you already know, oh, they like this comp specifically, so maybe we should try and ban a Wu Young here because they kind of want to play that on this map. Or, oh, well, we would like to keep Azaria here so we can enable Vendetta better, and they like to play Ramatra, so why don't we just ban Ramatra? And then they can't ban Zarya. But it also is aided by the fact that the loser normally does the bans. So it's not really that you have an incentive to lose, but you have an incentive to constantly be aware of what is happening in the bans and whether you're going to be punished for what you're doing. So it actually looks like the bans have already come out. Purdue Varsity is going to be banning Lucio, and IU is going to be banning Reaper. Now, Lucio is a pretty powerful character to already be banning, considering his versatility in a lot of team comps. So it's very powerful pick this early on. From that, I can tell that they either really wanted to protect a certain support or they really didn't want to play against a Lucio, which makes sense considering Li Xiong.
Yeah, moving on to Li Zhang as our first map. With Lucio being such a powerful character on this map, getting that out of the way is going to sort of hint at sort of the comp that Purdue's going to go for here. Something where they don't want that Lucio having control over the bridge area and lurking for those environmental kills. And as we see the picks come out, we see Abcasta running a Diva and the build around it. You've got Neeb on the Symmetra to get them out, and then probably going to switch to probably the Tracer, and sub 1 on the Vendetta.
Yeah, so it seems like that IU is sticking with the Hog comp at the very least to start. We're seeing that all of them are rotating towards the left room. No one's really pushing up on the right side right now, but it seems like sub 1 is going to be the first play and gets 2 kills immediately.
2 off of the bat is insane. The Vendetta is just so strong in this comp with that whirlwind attack, taking out 2, especially in this Hog comp, where these characters might not have as much maneuverability. That Sojourn there will, as well as the Tracer to go around on the flanks. But with that Diva, they'll be able to chase them down, and CVG Neeb is going to win that Tracer 1v1 and sort of set Purdue off on a really strong start here with point pretty much secured, and they're going to push even past these front doors, knocking the Hog off of the map with the boosters and sort of running this game so far.
Yeah, Abikastash has been doing a really good job at protecting sub 1 from damage here, trying to use that defense matrix very defensively to try and help sub 1 do their hits. And Alastair gets hooked over there, not able to get away right from the hook. Seems like there's a cast on a flank, so sub 1's taking a whole bunch of damage. Suzu's out from IU, but they're already down 2, so it might not even make a difference here, and they're going to keep on falling. Even with the very good ult advantage here, with almost 4 ults from Purdue and only really Deadeye online from IU here.
Yeah, by being able to push them back so far, they were able to build up ult charge and really control the pace of this game. They've been completely dominating so far as they approach around the 70% mark in terms of capture. Now we do see actually the Cassidy on the side get slept, maybe looking to get some sort of pick, but gets taken out by Abcasta. And they're just really controlling this flank and not letting IU sort of get around their wall they've built around this doorway. And no matter how many times IU's looking to get a hook or pick out of their defenses, they're able to just run them down.
Yeah, they're getting through all these fights without having to use many ults, and actually P barely surviving through that pulse from Neeb. Using more ultimates there just as the point gets won with the very quick 100-0, stopping IU from even touching point for almost that entire game. And in general, there was some very good plays there from specifically Abcastage and Astro with winning fights on very low ultimates, protecting the rest of their DPS lineup when they get put in unfortunate situations from that Hog, like when sub 1 got hooked and was sent down to almost 1 HP there, managed to matrix them back to stay alive and not have to worry about the walk up from spawn. I don't think that any of them actually died that match, but it seems like they're switching up a bit to an Iari instead of a Kiriko, and looking like a Genji comp from Neeb. And IU's going for a soldier here, which is not exactly the best, or I guess the most optimal play, but it seems like they're opting to focus on pure aim. And Genesis already going down from IU. Their Tracer's a bit in the back line, kind of poking out Alastair, but it seems like they're going to get away. Most of IU seems to be down. Their Kiriko also going down with Tracer being low already, and they haven't even touched point yet.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we saw in the first round. If Purdue's able just to win this very first opening team fight, they're able to gain a lot of momentum, sort of control the pace of the game. With IU there, after they lost Genesis and lost a few to different picks, they weren't really able to get that team coordination in order to make a move onto point or try to force out Purdue's position. Purdue played that very well, getting the opening picks, turning the tide of a match into like a 5v4, and just controlling that overall pace. And Zach here for IU on the Hog still. I don't know how well it might be working for them. They're already losing a lot of their sort of flankers.
I think that Zach is trying to focus on taking out the squishies in Purdue's team comp, which is kind of annoying because Abcastash is doing a really, really great job at just helping out their team and making sure that the squishies don't die, specifically to the Hog. And in doing so, he's essentially the only one able to stay alive because he's not able to help the rest of his team. And it seems like they're switching off of the soldier here, but they still have an insane ultimate disadvantage here with only Whole Hog being really close to coming online. But Abcastash is going down, so that might be really annoying for Purdue here. Losing the tank, and it seems like they're going to continue to play this fight. Using Blade here from Neve, sub 1 going down. Seems like they've managed to get Zach's ult out as well, so that really only leaves 1 or 2 ultimates there from IU.
I mean, yeah, after losing Abcasta there, it was kind of in a sticky situation. I didn't know if Purdue was going to be able to escape that, but with the Blade from Neve, they were able just to hold on there and somehow just stand there in front of their spawn. And coming out with a few different ults, we see the Alari ult getting P. Genesis trying to make a window to sort of get some sort of damage output onto Purdue, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Approaching 99 in overtime, it might not be possible for IU to touch. This map, Lijiang is going to go to Purdue.
Yeah, that was a really great ending play from Purdue over there because they saw the Kitsune Rush come out from IU. And just because everyone had to kind of be in that area to take advantage of the Kitsune Rush, they couldn't really avoid the 2 ultimates from Purdue, being Captive Sun and I forget what Vendetta's ult is, but the very big sword that comes slashing down on people. But very good play, very good ending play from them where they were able to really control the game. Even though they did technically play second here, they really did play first in trying to be proactive about using that ultimate and try and keep the pressure on IU there to force them into a corner, essentially, even though they technically forced themselves into the corner first.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of a landslide. I mean, initially from that very first team fight on the first map, we saw Purdue with great coordination able to find a pick and then build off of that, be able to control that momentum and just sort of keep pushing. And IU really never had a chance to group up and make a coordinated effort to try to push towards point or push even Purdue out of their defensive position. Purdue was able just to hold pretty much all the way to spawn doors with very little to contest. Even when they did lose Abcasta there on the second map, and even when they did get pushed back a little, they had so much ult advantage that they were able just to maintain their position and stay right where they were without getting pushed out by IU.
Yeah, I think that definitely the foothold that they made with all of their coordination and specifically with how much they were able to defend each other really helped. IU did not really have that with their Hog pick, solely because Hog doesn't have much value other than being able to sustain himself. He's really good at making space himself, but not good at enabling the rest of his team. And Purdue was able to take advantage of that with D.Va. It looks like IU's noticed that how effective D.Va was at enabling the rest of their team, and they're looking to ban it already. Seems like Purdue is going to ban Kiriko, which is pretty fair here. Kitsune Rush is a pretty powerful ultimate, and seems like we're going to
Suravasa.
I thought that was out of the map pool. Interesting. Yeah, looks like we're heading to Suravasa here.
There we go. I mean, on a fast-paced map like Suravasa, D.Va would be a nightmare. So I don't blame IU at all for banning Abcasta on that D.Va there. And now what will be more interesting to see is what the Purdue response is to that and sort of what kind of comp they build around. Because that tank is going to kind of just sort of decide what that team comp is going to look like. And Abcasta is going to opt for the monkey, for the Winton.
It seems like IU's going to be pulling out Moira Lucio over here with a hog, which is very interesting considering they're building a team comp off of a very mobile backline, or at the very least with two main cores, very mobile backline and half front line, and also a very stagnant front line. While Purdue has a very, in general, mobile comp besides the Ana, who's likely going to try and stay as far back as they can to not get poked out.
It'll be interesting to see if this hog will finally work or not. Hog is kind of a more selfish tank, just trying to find a few picks. It'll be interesting to see if they can find one. Sub 1 falling first to actually P, and Neeb sort of getting the get back and getting the Lucio. Astronaut falling to the Hog. Hog finally getting some value with that pick. And
Yeah.
as
It was an amazing anti from Elastra over there to essentially negate most of the team's damage. Unfortunately, Sub 1 fell. Neve is trying to get some extra damage here while IU has control of the point. Trades here from Abgastage but unfortunately it seems like it's going to be really back and forth. Losing their tank is a really bad trade in most cases, though. Ultimate-wise, they're doing about the same, but it seems like the Pulse Bomb is going to be coming up a lot earlier for Purdue than IU, which might be a really good way to get a pretty guaranteed pick.
yeah, cast it back here on point. That was a brawl, that opening fight. It was pick after pick. It seemed kind of pretty even for a long time, but IU did come out on top, and they're maintaining it, holding that percentage-wise, not letting go. But we might see some development here. Sub 1, gets destroyed as he tries to get a sneaky pick on the Hog there.
Yeah, Zach really is helping with Zach's really being able to use Hog the best way you can of survivability and trying to tank damage. Abgasaz switching over to Winston here, trying to hopefully burn down the Hog or get a little bit extra damage on the rest of the team. But ultimate-wise, they do have two pretty powerful ultimates coming up on beat slightly faster, using Whole Hog to get them all off point here. Yeah, it seems like that Purdue is not going to be able to effectively touch point, especially with 3 dead. Seems like we're going to be going to the next point over here. And unfortunately, ultimate-wise, it seems like IU's doing slightly better. They are coming up on two support ultimates, though, being Nano and Beat. And Neve going down a little bit early here might be kind of annoying for them to take a fight really early without their Tracer being set up in a good position. They do have more ultimates, but that also comes at the cost of not having the right ultimates right now.
I mean, I think from that first point, we saw Zach do what he needed to do on Hog there, was able to use his hook effectively and just sort of lock down point and really prevent anyone from touching. He played it really well with the whole Hog, and it forced Abcasta to switch over to the Mauga and just sort of counter health with more health and just become the tankiest tank possible.
Yeah, I think right now it seems like that IU's Tracer used their ult, but I feel like the two squishies trying to duel out the Hog isn't the best idea considering Hog's potent ability to one-shot here. It seems like they're using Cass ult and trying to force out Abgastage here. Pretty sure, yeah. Ultimate's coming out from both sides here, not really able to get any kills except on Zach right now. Seems like IU's mostly low, so maybe, seems like IU is going to end up falling, and Purdue is able to maintain control over the point here. Zach switching over to the Sigma here, going with a pretty static comp, especially with such a mobile backline here. Unfortunately, with that switch, they're not really able to have the ultimate advantage that Purdue does here. If they can cage a Lucio or a Moira, that would be really great. Genesis seeming to be a little bit low over here. Lucio coming around on point to touch. Gonna be a very interesting fight here with them trying to maintain control over the high ground.
With that Mauga rush, the cage coming out too. That Sigma's gonna run down his health, falling to Sub 1. The beat coming out for Purdue as well, keeping them alive. And as the Lucio for IU falling, and this second point is going to go to Purdue, making it tied up 1-1. And now moving into this third point, I think their team comps are going to remain more or less the same. the Sigma versus Mauga clash on point is going to be kind of interesting to see because of the, like you said, the fast backline of IU. Maybe not fitting the best with the more stationary Sigma, but I guess we'll see how it unfolds as they go to this last point.
Yeah, Astronaut over here using the beat kind of puts Purdue at a little bit more of a disadvantage. It seems like Neve is trying to wait for a good pulse bomb opportunity here. Unfortunately, Purdue's only really got offensive ultimates here. Doesn't really have anything defensive to potentially counter a Sigma ult here. Seems like that Abacastash is going in, gets flashbang, gets set really low, is going to fall along with Neve. It seems like that IU is going to, even though they actually do fall pretty low, unfortunately with only supports left, it's going to be quite hard for Purdue to maintain control over this point. And IU has almost all their ultimates coming online here, with Moira being Moira and going to also end up with an ultimate very shortly. Seems like they don't really have anything defensive to counter any of that either, which is going to be pretty annoying to deal with here. Neve is trying to look for a pulse bomb early to hopefully counter some of that, but with how split up they are, I think that the best bet would be getting a pulse on a Tracer.
And with that ult coming out from CVG Neve shutting down the Deadeye from actually P, they might be able to turn this in their favor. Zach coming very low, Molly Masta falling to Neve as well in that Tracer duel, and getting the ult canceled from the Sigma via the Vendetta ult is going to set Purdue on a really great path here. It's a really close in terms of percentage, but Purdue does have this advantage. And they're sort of creating some space here, kind of holding them back. CBG Neve setting P back. That's going to sort of stagger IU. Moira ult coming out as well. The sub 1 takes it out very quickly. Neve is finding P again. And Purdue really running it down, coming up at 98%. And they're going to take it. IU's got no response to touch it.
Yeah, Purdue did really well that fight in shutting down other ultimates and getting kills there. Even though they had to use their own ultimates, they still saved a vast majority of theirs. Now they're coming through the ult advantage. Even though IU used almost all of their ults, they didn't get the value they needed to on that fight in order to turn the tides. The closest one they have is another Deadeye, but if Neve has another Pulse Bomb, that can probably only go as well as they'd hope here. Neve gonna probably get poked out though by IU, getting very low and getting healed up by Alaster. We're gonna see, I assume Astro's gonna try and save ultimate there until a Deadeye or a Sigma ult comes out. Abacastash is turning pretty low, so it's gonna be a little bit. Actually, they're using a pretty aggressive beat over here, trying to get rid of the Sigma on point right now.
Mowing him down. The offensive beat from Astro able to propel Purdue beyond the bounds of point and push IU back. IU was able to hold on for a little while, but as soon as that Sigma was overwhelmed by the Mauga rush and such, the IU had really no response to that as their ults were still building up. Coming into the next fight, they're only going to have Deadeye, but like you mentioned earlier, Neve has that Pulse Bomb, and they're going to be... Neve has been on P pretty much this entire game, so if actually P does try to go in for that offensive Deadeye to open up this fight, I think Neve's going to be right there in response.
Yeah, no, Astro being the only one to use the beat means that, yep, Neve was able to get off that Pulse Bomb, and they were able to continue to push... Oh, Moira getting booted off the map as well. That was a really easy fight win from Purdue just due to a Pulse Bomb, essentially, because P tried to...
Oh, smart cage.
Caging the Mauga to prevent them to leave spawn. Yeah, great fight, great second to last fight from Purdue there. They tried to maintain... IU tried to maintain a good position for their Deadeye, but just they weren't able to get it off because of that Pulse Bomb, and it ended up killing a bunch of others on their team as well. Is that a new Drive logo? I think that is.
I believe so.
Well, yes, Drives must have just started. Irrelevant, but yeah, great fight great fight and great game from Purdue. Really managed to turn the tides from the first fight. And 2-1, pretty sure that's all the games that they're doing for this particular yeah, pretty sure that's all we're doing for this particular match. Yeah, anything else you want to comment on about this?
I mean, it was a great match to see for Purdue. Purdue definitely, that kind of boosted their spirits. I definitely get some good momentum moving into this NECC season, uh, especially against IU, getting some revenge. I wanted to see Purdue beat IU. Not trying to be biased at all, of course. Uh, and it was really good to see them play so well, especially in terms of team coordination. Being able to protect their squishies, as we saw on Lijiang Tower, being able to cancel enemy ultimates, as we saw on Suravasa. They were able to do it all and proved to be a really strong team. They were able to use the Vendetta effectively. They were able to play their ult economy very effectively, and it just allowed Purdue to have a very strong game. And I'm excited to see what they have in the future for NECC this season.
Yeah, I think definitely the ultimate usage was really great from Purdue here. They tried to at least lower the amount of ultimates they used each fight, so they were consistently maintaining at least one ultimate that they could use to counter something else. Even if they didn't have beat every fight, they could at least cancel out something with Cage or with Pulse Bomb or with even Vendetta ult. Considering how most characters are somewhat stationary during their ult, it's actually really effective at countering other ultimates. They did a great job, and I think that IU just has to at least prioritize when they use their ultimates slightly better, and they would be really formidable opponents.
I think seeing them later in the season would definitely be a fun fight to see. Maybe it'll be a lot more close, and in that case, that'd be even a more exciting game, especially later in the season come playoff time. I would like to see IU definitely be a competitor against Purdue. Then Purdue played very well today. They proved that they have what it takes to be placed very high this season, and I hope to see them in Div 2. And with how they played today, I wouldn't be surprised if they got that.
Yeah, all right. So we're going to be heading to a break right now while we wait for the next match to start up. So we'll see you guys in a bit. Hello, guys. We're back again for another varsity match because Purdue varsity just won their first NECC placement match. I'm Ice.
I'm G Money.
Yeah, so we actually found out that the team that Purdue is currently going against was Division II last season. So hopefully Purdue ends up getting a D2 placement this semester. Hopefully, considering they're going up against D2 right now. We'll see how they manage to fare, because we don't exactly know where they were placed in D2, but D2 is better than D3.
Absolutely. And that team they're going against is going to be Waterloo University. Very respectable team. So, I mean, they were able to beat IU, so we'll see how far this Purdue varsity team can go. Let's just keep that ball rolling. I mean, they have some hope apparently that they're playing against other Div 2 teams. That's already saying something in of itself. So I think Purdue's going to have, if they show a good fight this match, that's going to do numbers for them in this placement system.
Yeah. Hopefully they do manage to perform well against a prior D2 team. Hopefully they manage to be at least pretty high seed in D2, so maybe they can get a few extra weeks of scrims and not matches. I am very curious to see what the first map is going to be because, funnily enough, it's not always Lijiang Tower. Might be. And most teams,
like majority.
Yeah, most teams are very into playing Lijiang, mostly because of how balanced they feel it is in comparison to most hybrid maps, or not hybrid, King of the Hill maps, or control point maps. It's a very balanced map. For most teams, they're able to play some open space maps with gardens, and I'm pretty sure that's gardens. I don't exactly remember all the names, but I'm trying to remember. I think that one might be Market Street. But both Market Street and gardens are pretty open space, so some characters are able to take more advantage of that. There's long sight lines. It's a very overall balanced map in comparison to some other ones like Samoa and I forget what else is in the map pool at this point. But very least kind of liked by most people. So likely, and also kind of curious to see what the bans are going to be here, especially on first point. I doubt that both teams have been stalking each other by watching the VODs, but they might know already about Apkastage and their potency on Diva. Might also just be a random pick that they choose from looking at the profile. We'll see.
I mean, their career profiles should be open. So, I mean, if their other team's smart, a little bit prior to the match, they're doing like some of that research and kind of seeing what the other team plays, how many hours they have on this character, that sort of stuff. And if they've done their homework, I guess they might be able to make some of those predictions before the game even starts. And like we saw last game, we was sub 1 on Vendetta, super strong, and then Neeb as well on the Tracer. And speaking of which, Waterloo is going to ban Tracer, and Purdue is going to mimic what they did in their first game against IU and ban Lucio first round.
Very interesting bans here, considering... we're back on Lijiang Tower. Pretty...
No surprise there.
No surprises there, yeah. But in general, Lucio and Tracer are considered pretty cornerstone picks here.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least in recent times. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how both of these teams play without having their cornerstone characters here. I think that the Tracer might force a bunch of hit scan players onto Sojourn, but I'm very curious to see what Waterloo's team comp is here. Seems like they're running more of a bunker comp with a Bastion Sigma Juno BAP comp. Very interesting, specifically on Garden, because of how mobile, of how open it is, and how most teams try and encourage having a significantly more, I guess, movement-based backline. Seems like they're definitely going to be focusing on bunkering down, looking for more pokey playstyles here. Hopefully, Astro getting picked off very early there. Going to be pretty annoying for Purdue. Yep, seems like they're just going to have to start back over with all that straight pressure there from Waterloo.
I mean, with Waterloo's pick on the Juno, when you have a Lucio ban and you still want that sort of speed to have that quick ability to take control of the terrain you want to on the map, running a Juno is smart, and Waterloo basically said, you know, hey Purdue, try again. That opening fight didn't work. Just reset. Whatever you did just didn't work, and Purdue's gonna have to sort of fight to gain control of past this bridge. It's gonna be hard for them. Casta is able to take out Milk on the backside of things, but kind of cut off here. Alistair not able to get away, kind of left isolated with this Diva. And Abcasta's going to need to try to find a way to escape this sticky situation here.
Yeah, so I think that definitely the Mei is helping a lot with Waterloo's ability to really just kind of kill, especially with the BAP there, or with the Bastion there, being able to just straight up wall off an entire, just straight up being able to wall off a support or even Vendetta and just say, you're dealing with a Bastion now, good luck. Very potent. Being able to take out that Bastion really early on helped Purdue a lot there because they were just able to negate a lot of the insane damage they have. That's kind of what Waterloo's playstyle seems to be about, walling someone off and saying, no, you're dealing with this. Ultimate-wise, I think that Purdue has some slightly stronger ultimates, especially with Overclock that we're going to see here. Hopefully can get a few picks. But it seems like that Mei's holding on very closely, and they're able to just maintain control over the point very slightly here.
Yeah, the Bastion Mei is sort of just locking down on point. Sub 1, though, on Vendetta, not going down easy before Mascot comes. Abcasta cleaning it up, and Purdue is able to flip point. They are down a bit on percentage. I think that ult economy from Purdue definitely, when they cashed it in, was able to help a lot. I think we saw Nano and Overclock from Neeb. And Waterloo's going to do about the same thing they did last time and go around to the White Room. And with that Bastion Mei, they're able just to kind of walk down in that bunker formation. Alistair coming out with the Kitsune Rush, and Sub 1 getting 2 with the Vendetta ult. No matter how strong Waterloo thinks they are with this bunker comp, they are able just to defend with the smart ult usage that we saw against IU as well. Purdue has shown that they're very responsible with these ults, their ult usage and their economy.
Yeah, it feels like every single ultimate that's been used here has had at least a purpose, if not a necessity. Here the Kitsune Rush was very needed to essentially put insane amounts of pressure on everyone in Waterloo. The Vendetta ult was very useful here. We're seeing Elaster going on a little bit of a flank here, trying to get some extra poke damage. We're seeing a Gravitic Flux out from Waterloo here, able to pick off Sub 1 from that. Elaster also getting poked down here. Everyone on Purdue seems to be backing up a little bit because of the space created with that Gravitic Flux. Ultimate-wise, it seems like Purdue is in a slightly better position, having 2 really offensive ultimates back up, being Overclock and Nano. Although Waterloo has their Window and Mei ult coming online soon. It doesn't seem like it's going to be as good at taking space versus maintaining the space, which might be what they need here. But it's going to be a game of what is easier, taking or making space. Vendetta seems like gonna go straight in, gonna try and get an early kill on that Bastion here. Although Immortality kind of denies that, and Sub 1 and Astronaut get sent off. Elaster also going out, unfortunately making it so it's only really Abcastash on point. Even now it's only Neeb on point, not able to get that value from ultimates here. And although it was a very close map in percent-wise, they just weren't able to hold on to that point for as long as they needed to.
I mean, after that very first opening team fight, it looked like Purdue was going to be in some sort of, dire situation. But they were able to consolidate, and they locked in, and they were able to make it a very close match. They just, coming into that last team fight, it's 99 to 80 and climbing. We saw that the Diva was kind of getting destroyed maybe a little bit by the Sigma. The Sigma was able to rock through the D Matrix and then wall off or shield off the Diva Bomb. And I think as a response, we're going to see him cast a switch over to that Zarya and go as a complete counter to the Sigma and beam right through his suck or whatever his ability is called.
Yeah. I think that the Zarya switch was also to help protect the backline slightly more here. Oh, sub 1 getting picked off very early. That's going to be pretty unfortunate for Purdue because they won't be able to have that insane amount of damage. But you can see that Abkastash is getting walled off again and just kind of getting rolled down by the large damage they have. And with that Lucio ban, they're not able to go through really creative paths. Neeb getting really staggered is pretty unfortunate for them. Waterloo looking to get a early capture. Yeah, just the amount of pressure that Waterloo's able to put up on everyone on Purdue is not great for them. Seems like they're trying to take a little bit of an angle through the hallways, but it's going to, hopefully that'll divert some of their pressure enough. And without a speed ring, they won't really be able to aggress as well as they need to. Alastor getting walled and turreted out. However, the Mei is dead now, so that might be a little bit easier. Abkastash hopefully making it out. Yep, making it out barely with a bunch of shields. Unfortunately getting killed. Hopefully, hopefully sub 1 is able to get some damage, but unfortunately they're not really able to maintain any space or even make any space here. And the ultimates are going a lot towards Waterloo here. They do have some really nice ultimates coming online here, but it's not the amount that Waterloo has here. Unfortunately, they're playing a sustain game, and they can just win that.
And props to Waterloo here for keeping up the pressure. This is kind of what we saw a lot in the first game with Purdue against IU. They were able just to hold and maintain that momentum and just build upon that. Getting a pick, building ult charge, and just maintaining advantage throughout. Waterloo's done a great job of that so far. And when you have a comp built around Zarya, you're kind of building around that momentum and getting that high charge. But when you're not able to do that, you know, the Zarya's kind of useless. And we see Abcast to go back onto the Diva to try to get some sort of momentum and force going against this seemingly unstoppable object that is Waterloo's defense right here. And Neeb looking to maybe do something with the railgun moving in. He finds Mei. Mascot finding sub 1 though in response, and it's looking to be an even fight.
Yeah, unfortunately though, even when they still have a Bastion on field is slightly more annoying, especially considering that sub 1 is such a large chunk of the team's straight up damage output. They're trying to poke out the Bastion here though behind the shield, getting defended by Sigma's suck. Seems like they're going to be going down here. Just a game of touching here. Unfortunately not able to use the Vendetta ultimate here, and 2-0 to Waterloo right now. Kind of a tough map for Purdue here. They were just getting pushed out, unfortunately, by the Bastion Mei, because their comp is at least very helped by Vendetta being able to go in, deal a whole bunch of damage, and then get out safely. That wall and Bastion being there really hurt them, because there was a straight up, well, literal wall in between their needed escape route, and especially with a Diva not able to matrix that damage without flying over and taking more damage themselves. They just were really isolated once they went into Waterloo's space, and they couldn't find a way around that, at least.
Absolutely. I mean, from Waterloo's perspective with the Bastion and the Mei, sort of more like off pick. I mean, a lot of the cases, but with their comp that they had around the Sigma, they were able just to completely lock down on point. The Sigma, using his kinetic grasp, that's what it's called, was able to very effectively protect his team, use the shield as well, block off certain angles. And Purdue, as much as they tried, they played very well and had a really close map on the first point. But I think overall, Waterloo just played that very well as a team. They were able to prioritize some of the squishies and maintain that momentum. And they kind of just did a reversal on what we saw with Purdue against IU, being able to maintain that momentum and keep it going, have that ult advantage, and then just ultimately dominate the match, as what we saw Waterloo do, and they did it very well.
Yeah, I think that second point was definitely a lot better for Waterloo because they were able to bunker down. Purdue didn't really have many openings to go around for a flank or to send everyone around on a different angle and potentially split their team, because then it would leave it wasn't something where you could just walk into one way and then immediately change your mind and go to another. You'd have to make a full committed path on the way, and by that time you wouldn't really be able to properly have the damage to get through an immortality field. Juno, who's very known for being very good at healing in burst like Baptiste, and be able to avoid all the Bastion damage on both sides. You're not really able to get that unless you also do a speeded Bastion comp, or a Vendetta that doesn't get walled in. But Purdue wasn't able to, Purdue isn't really comfortable with doing a Bastion comp like that, so they weren't able to effectively counter that immense force and immense burst healing that Waterloo has.
Yeah, as strong as Sub 1 is on Vendetta, it's really hard to bust through the more tankier DPS that you have, Bastion and Mei, where the Mei can just wall up and the Bastion has his turret form. It makes it really hard for Sub 1 and the other players on Purdue to find those picks and create that opening, create that moment where they'll be able to take advantage of the opportunity. They did as much as they could, and Sub 1, all props to them, had a lot of damage output that game, but unfortunately with the sheer wall that Waterloo was able to offer with their tankiness and massive health, Purdue just wasn't able to break through, especially on that second map.
Yeah, it didn't help the fact that seems like Purdue has noticed the Bastion and decided to ban it. And Waterloo is also banning Kiriko, so it seems like they're trying to focus on Purdue's ability to move between different spaces, and probably more likely the Suzu there. But Waterloo's team comp in that last map was very let's go with headshotty, and some of the squishies on Purdue's side weren't able to really escape that here. But hopefully that's slightly better on a more open push map here, where they need to actually keep on moving. It seems like they're going to keep on with the Mei Sigma Bap here. So after Bastion getting banned, they're still trying to run with that. But, it seems like we're actually seeing a maybe Life Weaver here, which will be interesting. We're seeing a Laster on Iari here with Astro double flex support comp. Not very often we see that, but hopefully that'll have enough healing to sustain them through some Mei walls. Definitely with Iari's movement, it'll be a lot easier to get over and help a Diva or Vendetta who's kind of stuck behind a wall, though.
Because that was maybe the job of that Kiriko, being able to TP to the Diva who was able to fly off. And so having that Iari and the others, the Ana able to get some sightlines on Abcast to help keep them alive. And as they begin this opening fight, we see Lamp come out early and Alistair finding the support pick on Mascot. But in response, both DPS falling for Purdue. And as they try to win this first fight, XZD able to find Abcasta out of his mech. And early on, Waterloo's going to be able to push this, sort of just resetting now and sort of changing comps.
Yeah, it seems like that the really early Immortality field was able to stop a lot of damage here for Waterloo, and it just helped them a lot in sustaining through the rest of the fight, even though they lost a Baptiste and only had a Lucio there. Immortality field coming out and at least stopping some early deaths is something that Purdue just doesn't have. We're seeing Abcastage on the Winston here. Eve going down, unfortunately, although Lucio gets really low. Sub 1 gets walled in, and really it looks like Purdue's just gonna have to reset again. It's kind of unfortunate here because Purdue is good good rock from XZD onto Alaster there. But it's really unfortunate for Purdue because their DPS are just kind of getting walled in, and they're trying to go for a lot high damage flanks, but they're not able to pick out their supports very easily. Milk getting a little bit caught off on a rotation, and Creeper's getting set pretty low, but Immortality Field coming down is going to be really annoying for keeping them alive later. Neve getting sent out again. We're seeing a bunch of ultimates come out from Waterloo here. And it seems like that Gravitic Flux was all they really needed to turn the tides of that fight again back into their favor, even having lost a Lucio early on.
Now, Waterloo's going to have 4 ults going into this next team fight, and they can pretty much pick and choose what they want to do. They'll have the beat in case Purdue does come out with, say, the Vendetta ult or maybe Nano Monkey or something like that. They're going to have the ult advantage here, and I think the biggest thing I notice is that Waterloo plays very much as like a singular unit, while Purdue you see a lot of sort of this flank idea. We like see Neeb there able to find Milk alone, which is what Purdue's strongest fighting point is finding those alone supports and winning those team fights that way. But if they're unable to do that, like we saw earlier, it's really just ends up with like a 1v5 where they're trying to poke into this mass of people on Waterloo, and they're just unable to break through it alone. But it was able to find that first opening pick there and able to turn the tide, now pushing in favor of Purdue.
Yeah, I think that Purdue's goal there was to try and catch out Milk a bit early there, try and get some damage here and stop that beat from coming off early. Seems like Milk is now going to try and run, and Nano coming out from Astro onto Pistage. Seems like they're trying to use a bunch of their ultimates there. Sub1 not able to get any picks with their ultimate here. Pistage pulling out the Primal, trying to get some kills there. Getting pushed back though after one. Alaster using Captive Sun, trying to also get some picks onto there. We're seeing 4 ultimates coming out from Purdue for one team fight, and although Waterloo did use 3 ultimates as well, they have a very potent overclock and a Graphitic Flux coming online, which they don't really have anything to fight against. Astro going over to that Lucio there. We're seeing the overclock come out already. Everyone's trying to run away to a safer place, but Abkastash seems like he's getting kicked out there, not really able to stop. Alaster going on a bit of a interesting walk through the enemy team here to try and get some picks after Abkastash gets killed. They just didn't want to really handle that fight, but they did manage to catch Milk out, which is going to be a little bit annoying for building up back to beat charge here to try and defend against another Primal. However, fight win with only overclock is pretty good. Pretty nice trade, even though it's a good ultimate there. It's definitely not the strongest one that Waterloo thinks they have here. Abkastash is coming up on a Primal again, so they're going to try and keep alive everyone, hopefully, for this fight.
Yeah, Purdue's switching up the supports a little bit, and we have Alistair on the Ana and Astro on the Lucio. Trying to get some of that more dive comp, you know, mixing the Lucio, Monkey, and Tracer, and try to get some more speed against this brick wall that is Waterloo here. And they do have the advantage, but Waterloo isn't far behind, coming up around only 10 meters. And if they can get around this bend, they'll be able to be in a really good spot. Alistair nading Creeper. Milk coming out with the beat to save from the Primal. Abcasta looking to get some sort of space and create enough time for his team to find some picks. And they are able to find Milk, but quickly traded. Neve finding XED, who unfortunately got sub.
Very
Purdue's,
overall close fight here. A lot of trades. Ended up with 2 people from, actually one from Waterloo retreating and 2 from Purdue. most of these fights have been very close and mostly just one person staying alive, one person not. It seems like Purdue is going to try and at least keep the bot on their side, try and poke out someone really early, trying to force that immortality out, actually. Recall getting pushed out from Tracer, though immortality does get forced, which is really nice. However, they do manage to lose sub 1 in the process, which is kind of unfortunate there, especially considering they were coming up on that big sword over there. Seems like Neeb is on a flank and trying to not get poked out right now. XCD coming up on another Flux really early. Hopefully Astro can build up beat in time. Seems like that they're actually looking for Astro or Alaster. May falling down pretty low from Waterloo's side right now. Sigma's definitely trying to kill Astro to try and prevent that beat, and is able to get that just barely. Actually stopping an Ajax at least, but not exactly helping. Nano going off from Alaster here, and Neve getting dangerously low, but it seems like Waterloo's just trying to stabilize, but they're not really getting the chance to there. With Milk going down, Mascot getting kind of pushed out. It's once again very close. It's 2 or 3 alive, and it's actually just a 1v1 here, and Alaster wins. Neve coming back from spawn just then, but Alaster, once again, 1 or 2 of them staying alive, and in this case, it was just Alaster that needed to survive with the nade to keep this fight going and keep Purdue in the lead.
Yeah, and Abcasta had some really good monkey gameplay back there. After his primal wore out, he was able to sustain for a very long time and keep that team fight going, even through XCD's ult. And with the offensive beat coming out, we see that Purdue doing what they do best and have that advantage and keep that momentum going. They are still in the lead, coming up around a minute left time-wise. Neeb finishing off the May for Waterloo. Waterloo's going to have some time to regroup here, but they are giving up some distance here on the push. Here they come out with the overclock, looking to get a few opening picks, but Neeb looking to find Mascot and force out either some sort of immor or find a pick. Creeper able to get Astronaut and the Lucio out of the way. Nano coming out on Abcasta. Doesn't have Primal yet, but is able to sustain this corner and keep his team in this position.
Yeah, once again, it seems like Purdue has a bunch of ultimates that they need to use at once in order to really get the most value out of them. And when they're all staggered like this, you're gonna end up getting ultimates that are only really able to help one at a time, or at least sustain. Sub 1 getting poked out dangerously low, but grab Flux from Sigma is really helpful here to just try and get a bunch of kills. We're once again at a point where it's really low, where both teams are really, really low, and it's just a matter of who can manage to survive enough. We're back in overtime now, though. Mascot is dangerously low. We're seeing an interesting duel from May versus Lucio, and XCD coming out on the ball to try and touch, or to try and push at the very least. We're going to see a contest over there from Sub 1, which is honestly probably the best character to be contesting a ball right now. Getting down pretty low. We're seeing pick on Creeper by Abcastash. Yeah, Waterloo's just unfortunately falling here. A really interesting map here. It was pretty back and forth, but Purdue just managed to hold on for the last major part of the round, and that's all they needed. As soon as they got that push over the edge, you don't need to push by that much. You just need to win slightly, and that's good enough.
I think Alistair here on the Iari with the 4K kind of turned the tide of that match. You know, coming off of that loss in the first map on Lijiang, it was kind of maybe a little disheartening, and it was kind of good to see Purdue make that up and get a win on Esperance on the push map. And I think a lot of that had to do with the comp that they ran. They definitely switched around a lot. They didn't stay stagnant. They were able to try out a few different things. Okay, that didn't work, and now let's switch. And they were able to do that really effectively with the Yari before they switched. I think that really turned the tide of that match, especially considering the entire match as a whole. They were down at first, and then they were able to maintain that advantage like they wanted to. That they were able to do it before, and they knew they could. And by being able to get those opening picks, especially with Neve on the Tracer finding or forcing out the lamp from the Baptiste over on Waterloo, they were able to have a window, a sort of opportunity where they could throw their pulse bomb, put in the nano monkey, or do something in order to push it a little bit farther, inch by inch, and they were able to succeed on that.
Yeah, I definitely think being able to force cooldowns out from the support line was being able to force cooldowns out in general was pretty instrumental for Purdue's win here. They were really, in general, Esperance is a lot more dynamic than control points in general, mostly because control, you're just trying to defend one specific area. It seems like Waterloo's really good at defending and trying to bunker down, but unfortunately for them, when you're given a more dynamic team, you're able to really push past their push past whatever they have set up and go and keep on going. We're going to a flashpoint here. Waterloo's banning Vendetta and Purdue is banning Baptiste. So it seems like they're trying to both teams are trying to get out the burst side of the both teams are just trying to get out the burst, whether it be Vendetta's massive damage burst or Vendetta's massive damage burst or the massive healing burst that Baptiste can give, especially with immortality. We're seeing probably double flex still. Sub 1 looking to be on Genji, Neve looking to be on Tracer. We're once again seeing Bastion, Mei, Sigma here, but hopefully, likely with the Lucio, they're going to be significantly more mobile than just with the Juno here. So we're probably going to see some speedy Bastion going across the map here. Abkastaj looking to be on the Diva, so hopefully they'll be able to shut that down a little bit with Defense Matrix, but not much else they can do here. This choke point's going to be pretty annoying for Purdue to break through, considering Bastion Mei can really do some damage, especially with Suzu being able to take out a bunch of burst damage, which is really the best way to take out a Bastion at this point. Aquastage losing mech really early and Alastor falling. It's not going to be great considering Astro's the only one able to heal, and Lucio's healing without amp is not ideal. Abkastag getting poked out or getting sent on a very annoying chase, getting isolated from the rest of the team is pretty bad. And ultimate-wise, Milk has a non-zero advantage on Astro. Ultimate-wise, it's very interesting seeing a Lucio with the highest ult percentage, considering Lucio's ultimate is the slowest charging ult in the game. Abkastag switching over to a Winston here, trying to poke out, or not really poke out, but isolate a specific team member with Bubble. Astro getting picked out really early. Creeper using the grenade to try and get away slightly further. Akastage also getting poked out there, and Sub 1 and Neve probably gonna end up getting staggered as well, unfortunately. Ultimate-wise, yeah, it seems like Waterloo's just kind of doing better here. They even have a Kitsune rush pretty early, beat really early, and this point is just gonna kind of go to Waterloo.
Yeah, I mean, just watching Creeper here in this like opening sequence, they got really low, but with the Immort from Suzu, they were able just to stay alive and just sort of mow down. Genji's deflect only lasts for so long, and a lot shorter than what the Bastion's turret form is. Turret form was just able to just spray and pray. I mean, the mechanics from Creeper here with the Bastion have been phenomenal, and they definitely proved it. They're pretty much owning that first point uncontested.
Yeah, I think that Kitsune Rush Bastion might be one of the most terrifying things I've seen, especially considering the unlimited ammo that he has. Yeah, it seems like every time they get Creeper down really low, he's just barely able to survive. And unfortunately, the only hit point that really matters is the last one here, especially when you have a Bastion and a Kiriko, where they can just keep on dying, or keep on killing them. XCD getting its pulse bombed and unfortunately Suzu'd out, falling really low and getting anti-ed. Abkestaj going down, Elastra going down, although they managed to pick off the Lucio, so there's no beat in for this fight. Doesn't really seem to be that helpful when you just don't have the follow-up here. Neeb also going low, although they're able to take out the Kiriko, so less ult charge for that gets built up. But it seems pretty balanced ultimate-wise. It's just going to be who's able to use them and who's able to get the finishing blow off.
Starting out with the Mei ult, Sub 1 takes out the Mei, but in response, XCD coming with the Sig ult. Abcasta going down to Mascot. Mascot showing he's not just a bat main, able to play Kiriko as well to get that immortality as well. Neeb getting Creeper finally off of the board, allowing Purdue maybe just to create some space. XCD taking out Sub 1, but Neeb with the get back, able to keep the advantage strong. Purdue does have the point now, and as they come away with this team fight, they are climbing and maintained Waterloo to around about a 61% capture on the second
that
point.
was a, once again, pretty balanced fight. It was, once again, coming down to one or two people still staying alive. I'm very impressed with the fact that they managed to kill Abkestaj during Primal. Creeper getting taken out early, though, by a pulse bomb from Neeb. Mascot also getting slept, so they can't Suzu. That was a great sleep from Elastra over there. Really helped in getting that kill and negating an ultimate, and also just pushing them back enough where they can maintain up to 60%, making this probably final fight for this particular point. Mascot using the Suzu a bit early, Creeper falling down, really best trade that they could have asked for. Everyone's falling low on Waterloo's side. This is final fight, and if they can manage to literally just hold them away from point for another 5 seconds, they will be fine, and they will have this point. And they get it. Which, honestly, even if they do manage to lose this fight here, they've got what they wanted. They got the point, and at this point, it's just building ultimate charge for the next one.
Yeah, I mean, name of the game is to play the objective, and they played it well. Able to keep the Waterloo team back in that small room. Neeb playing that very well, we saw from his perspective. Playing very smart, targeting Creeper, which he knows is going to be detrimental to his team. Getting the pulse on him, targeting him when he got slept by Alistair. And overall playing that point really well in order to keep Waterloo's distance from point as much as possible.
Yeah, we're seeing a bunch of ults out here. Abkestaj being forced to use Primal here, even falling dangerously low even with it. We saw a pulse bomb out from Neeb, didn't really hit anyone. Abkestaj trying to get some value off of the Primal real quick, but Milk's beat just kind of negated that, and Creeper using turret form is going to be 7 seconds of nothing for Purdue here. They're poking down XZD a little bit, but Abkestaj being dead, Astronaut being dead, Neeb being dead, you're not really going to get that much from that. Creeper coming up onto another ultimate, though, even though they already used one a bit ago. Unfortunately, with Neeb using Pulse a bit earlier this fight, not like they're going to do the exact same thing twice. XCD having a Flux, though it's hopefully going to be countered by Astro, unless they decide to play first and have Sub 1 go for a nice Blade. Yep. Blade over here. Astronaut does not have beat yet and is not able to save Neeb with it, but is able to save Alastair. And that unfortunate TP from Mascot there is going to make it so it's really only XCD on point, and you're not... Sigma is just simply not sustaining by himself. Although Waterloo did manage to get to 77 on point, which is going to be unfortunate because that means one fight lost for Purdue, and they're going to be on to final map. Bastion getting slept mid-turret form is great, though. Makes him pretty low. Forces out Suzu very early, especially if they can get a nano pretty early. That'd be great. Even just not primal. Straight up nano is pretty good for Monkey. Seems like they're going to be trying that.
There it goes. I mean, Alistair keeping this Monkey alive. with the Nano, with the great aim and mechanics overall. We see him going in. He almost has Primal. And with the help of sub 1, they're able just to control this choke point and not let Waterloo get anywhere near point. They're coming up around tied in terms of percentage-wise, and Neeb with the Pulse Bomb looking to get some sort of value. He's able to land it, and this is coming around last fight territory. He finds the midi to stay alive. With the Kitsune Rush, Waterloo does take advantage of it and runs in. Abcasta not going to let go down easy. He's trying to stay alive, but falling dangerously low. Gets taken out. Creeper also low, does have his ult, but might not be able to get it off in time. He might not even need it.
Yeah, Milk did a really great beat that fight. Keeping alive Creeper even at such low health. Great, makes it so that Purdue's just gonna have to try and touch. Milk unfortunately dying, but if they can just prevent the touch, they'll be fine. Creeper almost getting booped off the map, looking to get bladed. Very worthwhile trade, but XCD uses Gravitic Flux onto Alaster. Mascot getting traded out.
Sub 1.
Very close fight. Once again, but this is either 1 or 2 points left. Astro having beat is going to be a great thing to prevent any real, I guess, easy damage for Waterloo here. They do have another Pulse Bomb coming up, so they're going to probably try and target Creeper. They're going to try and stop the Bastion from being able to survive. Apkasaj getting killed just because wall Bastion. You're not really escaping that. So everyone else is just trying to reset and just not get poked out.
Yeah, especially into a monkey, even with the shield. The Creeper turret form, as well with the slow from the Mei, and the wall is just so hard to get around, especially for a character like Monkey. But Abcasta is playing it to the best of his abilities, and we saw that on the last point. That last point had some crazy last fight energy, but he does go down from the rock by XCD. XCD has been an integral part of this Waterloo team, just locking the whole team in place and keeping his team alive, both with his kinetic grasp and with his shield as well.
Yeah, Alaster trying to get some poke onto Creeper there. Either damage or to hopefully get a quick kill. Creeper using an ult there. Nano onto XCD, not Apkastaj, not XCD. And an anti onto Creeper is great there because then they can actually confirm the kill. And overall, they're just trying to confirm kills here. Neve going down, but they're down Mascot and they're down Amei. Although Waterloo's at 88%. They need to maintain control over this point, and if they do, they can just win. Alaster used the Nano last fight, but they do have Primal beat. A lot of health that they have there, especially Blade. They're probably going to be looking for a Nano, or not Nano Blade, Beat Blade here. Waterloo has straight up ultimate advantage over them, especially with the Kitsune Rush Bastion's terrifying comp. Apkastaj looking for a bit of damage, getting the support lineup pretty low. Trying to force out a turret form early so that they can avoid that. Mei using ultimate there, Apkastaj using primal. Pretty much they're just trying to... Oh! Ajax from Milk! That's going to be really unfortunate there. Astro using that beat to try and keep alive Apkastaj. They're able to maintain control over the point. Looking at one more fight here. That was...
Wow, I mean...
a lot of ultimates used from both sides there. Unfortunate Ajax from Milk would have saved... probably going to turn the fight. Early pick onto Mascot. That's going to be their essential ultimate here. Seems like they're just trying to save... yeah, they're just trying to stall. Nice flux from XCD 3K here. He's going to try and just touch here. But it's probably not going to be enough because the next person that can touch is a Kiriko, and that is Purdue win. Best of 3 does go to them. Very, very close match, though, in general. Every single fight was a win by 1 or 2 players. Wasn't really a stomp, was just a very, very close match. And once again, this is against a Division II team. Purdue varsity being able to win against a team that was in a higher division last season means that they've grown a lot and means that they're probably going to be looking at a very, very nice Division II start this semester.
Absolutely. I mean, if you could have told me after that first match how that was going to end, I wouldn't have believed you. It looked like from the very beginning that this Waterloo team was going to be quite the challenge. I didn't know if Purdue had it in them, but they showed that they have that fight, and they were able to pull off what seemed impossible at the beginning. Towards that final fight, we saw some incredible plays. Kind of same situation on both of those last 2 points, where Waterloo had 70-80% on them, and they needed to be able to not flip point. Because once they flip point, they were going to be able to easily lose that match. It could easily slip out of their hands. So Purdue, by being able to keep them off of the point, and I got a little scared there at the very last point when they had the May ult and the Sig locked down on point, but Neeb came in clutch with that pulse bomb and was able to turn the tide of that match. And with the Ajax as well, that could have saved Waterloo maybe so that they could fight another team fight. Ultimately, Purdue played that incredibly well and showed that they have what it takes to be in this division.
Yeah, I think that we're going to be heading off a little bit to wait for the next we're done with placements, actually. Okay, so that's actually the last match that they're doing today, which is really great for Purdue and means that they're looking at a good Division II start, probably. We'll figure out what exactly they're placing a little bit later, because we're not too sure. Well, NECC releases that a bit later, not immediate, essentially. But, yeah, looks like we're going to be done for the day. It was a great 2 games from Purdue varsity here. It was very close on both sides, or very, very close on the last match. And, yeah, it looks to be a good season.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this Purdue varsity team has in store for the rest of the season. I mean, what we saw today was phenomenal, and I hope they just keep that momentum going. I mean, I'd love to see them go all the way just like they did last season.
Yeah, all right. So I've been Ice, and
I'm G Money. Thank you all so much for joining us. Hope you had a good time watching.
Yep, and we'll see you guys later.